How are human health, animal health, and environmental health interconnected? When I got the opportunity to curate this scientific program, I immediately thought of the next speaker, Lucy Robertson. She is a professor at the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine, Norwegian University of Life Sciences, and she will give you an insight into One Health as no one else I know. Please, Lucy, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you for the very kind introduction, and I'm really sad. I mean, I'm very pleased to be giving this presentation at such a prestigious event, but at the same time, I'm very sad because I can only croak, and I'm afraid that I won't be able to transmit my enthusiasm about the importance of One Health with this stupid voice. So please forgive me for that and bear with me. Right. So, One Health, what does One Health mean? I have heard it in one talk today, so it's obviously not very important to most of you. But most of us, nevertheless, have some idea about what it's meant. We can draw some sort of diagram. You know, it's animal health, it's human health, and it's environmental health. And stuck in the middle is One Health. We interact, we affect each other. As you probably have read somewhere or other, 60% of human diseases are considered to have originated in animals. But nevertheless, a lot of research, surveillance, and efforts to solve health challenges is done in silos. The doctors and the vets don't interact. The environmental health, the people who know about water, the people who know about ecology, well, they're yonks away. But if we really want to solve health challenges, we need to work together, if we can speak. There's a long way to go for implementation of the One Health concept to combat the challenges of infectious disease transmission. And this is particularly so for neglected tropical diseases. So, neglected tropical diseases. Here's a definition, and I can't read it out to you because you can read, and I can't speak. But there's 20 listed by WHO, and they're neglected because they're actually really off the global health agenda. There's been a lot of talk about money. These don't get it. And on the WHO NTD page, One Health is not mentioned. You've seen this table already. Mine's just prettier. Guinea had it there. The blue ones are viruses, the yellow ones are bacteria or fungus. There's one white one, that's snakebite, and 12 are parasites. And as a parasitologist, well, that's not surprising to me. And those ones with the red arrow are zoonotic, so they can transmit between people and animals. The ones with the pink arrow are also vector-borne, or are vector-borne. So how the environment is they're really affected by. But all of them, environmental issues play a significant role in transmission. I wanted to choose one of these to demonstrate to you the importance of One Health. And, the thing is, I love so many of these. I really spent a long time thinking, it's got to be Chagas disease. I love it so much. But in the end, I came down to the one to look at is Dracunculiasis. It's another long word for you. Draculosis, is this a success story? Is it? Guinea worm is another name for it. And it's also called the disease of empty granaries. There's no treatment, there's no vaccine, and when people have it, it is so painful. They can't go to work, they can't go to the field to do their farming, and so there's nothing to eat. We parasitologists love a life cycle. In this life cycle, you can see that, let me see, that thing swimming in the water, it's a copepod. It's about 1 millimeter long. It's got larvae in it. Somebody scoops it up and doesn't see it in the water and drinks it. Those larvae go into the body, and and they turn into worms, and the worm comes out of the person's foot, or part of where it sheds the larvae into the water. That it's making the worm coming out of the body is incredibly painful. You have a blister like this, and out comes the worm. It can be 1 meter long. There you can round it up on a little stick. And those of you who are doctors will recognize this little stick and a worm. This is the, the rod of Asclepius, or whatever his name is. But then we have the Carters. Remember Jimmy? And they had the Carter Foundation. And as well as being a peanut farmer, and the president at some point, he also had a thing about Dracunculiasis. And the foundation worked on decreasing it. And you can see that in 1986, there were 3.5 million. And, well, down there at 2013, it's really very few. So a marvelous removal of it. The idea was to eradicate Dracunculiasis. And this is from somewhere or other, the tail end of Guinea worm, global eradication without a drug or a vaccine. So it was in 2007. Largely it was done by stopping people drinking those larvae. So a straw, which can filter out those little crustaceans. But, here we go, exclusive. Battle to wipe out debilitating Guinea worm parasite hits 10-year delay. Oops. And so here's a little quote. A few years ago, it looked like humanity was about to wipe a debilitating parasitic disease off the face of the earth, but the long road to eradicating Guinea worm just got a whole lot longer. And you can see that the graph is now extended, and it's still low, but it's not continued to eradication. Dogs. What a pity they didn't think about dogs earlier. Well, it's not that they didn't notice them. You see what's coming out of that dog's leg? Ta-da. So, in this graph, you can see that as the number of human cases are going down, the number of dog cases are going up. And here you see it going together. This is in Chad, which is one of the hot spots for Dracunculiasis. So how do dogs get infected? Well, it could be the same way that humans get infected, right? By drinking the water. Makes sense. But that just shows that we don't really think properly, because people are scooping their cup into the water and drinking it. But they can drink with their hands. But dogs are lapping. And although water can have a thing, that you can see this is a graph which shows those dogs which get water at home and those dogs which go and lap it, and it results in those dogs who don't have water provision or are going to lap it are getting more infected. We have seen, it's been shown experimentally that if a dog is lapping, the copepods actually don't like that water disturbance and they swim away. So it's not as simple as that. And that's always a problem. Nothing is that simple. Everything's interrelated, and you change one thing, and it's not quite enough. So here, looking at the seasonality, the cases tend to spike in the summer months, and this coincides with the fish harvesting period. So, as well as transmission from ingestion of infected copepods, fish and, in fact, frogs could act as hosts in the life cycle. The fish are eating the copepods, and they're not infecting the fish, but the infected copepods are sitting in the fish's intestines, and then the dogs eat them. So, here's dogs which are provided with water, dogs provided not with water, and then also the fish in ingestion. So here we have it. These are the fish which are caught in these areas, and possible role of fish as transport hosts. They're not infected, but they are carrying the parasite to dogs. Seasonal fishery, so it's in the season of the summer. And a graph again illustrating that. So, a dog's life in Chad. And so now the life cycle, which classically, when you look for life cycles, you will see just that person, should actually have the baboon, the dog, the cat. Those can also be hosts. And also those potential hosts in the middle. And maybe if that had been thought about way back when the Carters, if a One Health idea had been used from the start, and they hadn't said, yeah, but we've got to do the human cases first, then we would be at eradication, and that would be marvellous. It would be actually elimination of a really debilitating disease. As it is, it's very few cases, but it's still not gone. And as the person who talked about war, can't remember who it was, these countries do have some political issues, and that interrupts it, and everything can go back to square one. So, yeah, One Health. Now, I was just there saying something about neglected tropical diseases. I chose Dracunculiasis as my illustration. But I know that although you are all worldly people, somehow it always feels so far away. So I just wanted to have a few words about not tropical diseases to show that it's not just in the tropics that we need to have the One Health perspective. And I just thought I'd use, since it's kind of one of my favorites, crypto. It's a waterborne parasite, and it occurs actually pretty much everywhere, but it really loves being in Norway because the transmission stage kind of likes it cool and damp. So, you know, it's a nice day today, but don't expect it to last. It causes acute enteric disease. There's several species. The ones which infect humans mostly are Cryptosporidium parvum and Cryptosporidium hominis. The transmission route is not always obvious due to the fact that people are infected and get ill a few days later, usually. So is it from something you ate? Is it from water? You don't know, because if you can remember what you ate yesterday, that's great. But what about 4 days ago? Think about it. Waterborne outbreaks are relatively common, but can also be foodborne. And it's also very important in countries which have challenges. It's the second most common cause of pediatric diarrhea in various countries, which is in the GEM study, and is associated with increased mortality in children under 2, and treatment options are really limited. There is only one which is licensed, and it's not licensed for children under 1 or the immunocompromised, which are actually the groups which have the most problems with this parasite. I don't want to go into this life cycle much, but basically you can go from people via all kinds of transmission routes, water or vegetables, but not just people, also animals. And there you see shellfish, salads, milk, etc. And the important, and that's what you get in your test tube to look at, so it causes diarrhea. Huge. If you're very sick with it, it can be litres per day, and it can be fatal. There's asexual replication and sexual reproduction, which means that when you look in the microscope using an immunofluorescent antibody to label the transmission stage, it looks like that. Pretty to look at, but it means there's an awful lot of those parasites in a gram of feces. This is like a zillionth of a gram. It's been in a reportable infection in Norway since 2012, and this is a monthly for various years since reporting. And you can see there's a little peak there in the summer. Is that because people are going abroad? Do you think they're bringing it home? That's actually what the general thought is in Norway. It's something you get when you go on holiday to Spain and eat something dodgy from the buffet. But actually, if you look at this, which is looking at origins of where crypto comes from, you can see that Norway has an awful lot of most infections as being the origin. So that's the yellow. Yellow is Norwegian origin, abroad is dark blue, and light blue is dunno. So you can see that yellow, Norway. What can be the reason for that? Well, this is Peanut. He's dead now, actually, I'm afraid to say. But he died of cryptosporidiosis. And that's a calf with, you can see his backside isn't looking very happy. And neither does he, his little sad face. So this is something which we need to come to grips with, the One Health for animals and humans, and he's contaminating the environment. They all are interconnected. And thinking back to the Dracunculiasis thing, problem, issue, it's really good to bring this One Health aspect to the beginning of your studies, in my opinion. And of course, I would say that. It's not just important for NTDs, it's to tackle in crypto in Norway, for example, a One Health approach is essential. Thank you for your attention and for listening to this croaking.
Thank you